Kojo.
Yeah?
It's a new week, which means a new batch of uncommon words.
Well, here's one. Bolter.
Ah, yes, bolter. B-A-L-T-E-R. To dance clumsily without any rhythm, but usually with a lot of pleasure.
As in, Sami Odami has no understanding of rhythm. When the music comes on, he just bolters like a drunken goat.
Kojo, Sami will beat you.
Beat who? He can't even move to the beat.
My word.
But Sami really does bolter.
He absolutely does.
He's
No, but
superb
the
at
comparison, like what? A drunken goat.
Yeah.
That one.
Imagine any manner of livestock infused with pito. That's how he dances. Anyway, let's do the news review. It's brought to us by the kindness of our good friends at Interplus. Wherever you are, they make sure water reaches you, even in space. And First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different. So, First Atlantic Bank has introduced a set of mobile banking applications and a USSD shortcode, *442# for banking transactions. You can download the First Atlantic Ghana mobile app from the Google Play Store or iOS Store, or you could dial *442# for all of your mobile money transactions, instant fund transfers, and of course you can pay bills and purchase airtime or data from Airtel, MTN, Glow, and Vodafone, among other wonderful services. So welcome to the Purple experience on mobile. It's safe, it's secure, it's very simple to use. It's First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different. Purple has a great effect on me. It really calms me. I painted one of the walls in my house purple.
Oh, nice.
And yes, when I'm not happy, I just stare at it.
And you feel better.
I do. Look at it for a
like
bit. It
that.
calms my nerves. It's the Purple experience, like what First Atlantic Bank is doing. All right then. Okay, you got papers?
Yes, okay, so straight into the headlines. I'm going to start with the Daily Graphic this morning. Stigmatization, frightening danger. Ghana Health Service commits to ending obstacle. Ghana to have beneficiary ownership register by October. COVID-19 frontline workers appreciated on International Day of Family. Unipass makes progress. That's according to operators, and there'll be a lot more on Unipass this morning.
Exactly.
On the back page of the Daily Graphic, instant punishment for nose mask violators in the Ashanti region.
And the Ghanaian Times says COVID-19 vaccine must be freely available to all. President Akufo-Addo advocates, and 2 suspected armed robbers gunned down, another arrested. Dr. Chambers calls for concerted efforts to combat COVID-19, and Ghana's COVID-19 recovery rises to 1,754. Case count stands at 5,735. If it was anything like reaching a peak, and actually making the analysis that your number of recoveries must be more than your new infections, I think we're getting there, aren't we? NACA recommends textbooks for KG primary schools. Back page, road users advised to obey directives at Tema Motorway, and Tamale COVID-19 Center appeals for PPEs.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, ECNIA exposed more lies of the NDC. 155 million euros ready for Kofanotche Teaching Hospital maternity block. Akufo-Addo reactivates construction of 44-year-old abandoned health facility. That's it for the Daily Statesman.
And Proverbs 10 verse 9, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. That's the Chronicle. 50% salary bonus, naked robbery in health sector. Real beneficiaries sidelined, accountants, administrators add names. Okay, we'll get into this particular story. And usage of Ghana cards is backed by CI 2012 EC and Kofanotche Teaching Hospital COVID-19 lab already, according to CEO. Backpage, Haaland scores in Dortmund win as Bundesliga returns, and Salah snapped Real Madrid to stay at Liverpool. Hani Ramsey.
Okay, on the front page of the Find, abandoned for 44 years, Bank of Ghana to bridge budget's financing gap with 10 billion Ghana cedis. Successful simulation at Semaport paves way for ICOM's take-off, and Ghana records $936 million trade surplus.
And the New Crusading guy says new voters register blues, attack on EC needless, says Peace Council, and tension at Manya Krobo as Paramount Chief destools Queen Mother over betrayal. And garment chain installers engage in falsehood and fabricated lies. That's the Ni Okai we are the second claiming. And trouble looms at Lands Commission. Workers agitate for removal of overage executive secretary.
Okay, on the front page of the Daily Guide, Obinim facing arrest. Muslim leaders bless Supreme Court judge. EC exposes NDC. 1,754 recover from COVID-19, and NDC mocks COVID-19 recoveries.
The Guardian Observer says Akufo-Addo revives construction of 44-year-old Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital Maternity Children's Block. Disinfection of airports contract. Aviation Minister sets records straight. And stop needless attack on EC. That's according to the Peace Council. COVID-19, Ghana records 5,735 cases with 1,754 recoveries. And Vice President Bawumia surprises his 75-year-old primary school teacher. Well, we can see Mr. Duty in his new tractor, according to the Ghanaian Observer.
Okay, my very last paper is the Economy Times. Bank of Ghana concludes 1 billion repo facility. Benchmark reversal. Maritime trade stakeholders warn to vote against government in 2020 elections. And government's deficit widens, misses target. That's it for the Economy Times. Actually, on the back page, there's new taxes on electricity bill. Ghanaians to pay 17.5% more. Debt stock rises to 236 billion Ghana cedis, and interest rates to remain stable. That's according to Dr. Ernest Addison, Governor of the Bank of Ghana.
The Gold Street Business says BOG index points to economic contraction, and Bank of Ghana lends 5.5 billion to government, stands ready to lend more up to 10 billion, and Ghana's debt stock hits 236.1 billion first quarter 2020. Back page says Association of Bankers supports needy Muslims.
All right, okay, just before the online review, I think I have my own COVID-19 update. So you all know Julius Deborah, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you saw some posts on social media, some people suggesting that he is one of those who has recovered from COVID-19. Of course, when I saw it, I wanted to show concern. I gave him a phone call to ask if it was true. Oh, he says it's not at all. Never happened. Not recovering from anything. And he actually added, and that's why I thought I'd mention it, that if he actually was recovering from COVID-19, he'd find nothing wrong with, actually, informing the nation that he has beaten COVID-19. It would be a badge of honor to him if he had managed to survive and beat COVID-19. But he hasn't. He's never had it. He's not. It's basically not true. So anyway, that's my COVID-19 update. Let's go online. Let's do the online review brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. So bank on the go with your mobile phone. Just dial *966#. Zenith Bank's USSD short code. Now with *966#, you can open a bank account instantly. You can link your mobile money wallet to your bank account. You can top up airtime. You can transfer funds. You can pay bills and so much more. So do it the easy way. Dial *966# today. This service is available to account and non-account holders. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. Our friends at Goyle, of course, want you to remember that they value you, and that's why they've put together so many of these protocols to save your life. Cover your mouth with tissue when you cough and dispose of the tissue immediately while you're on their service station premises. You can also use alcohol-based sanitizer if you're not in a position to wash your hands. But if you are, then please wash your hands with soap and running water. It's all been provided at the service stations, especially for the times when you handle money. You can maintain a minimum distance of 1.5 meters between you and customers and, of course, other attendants. So let's all observe these simple protocols together and defeat the COVID-19 virus. Now, if you have any symptoms or you're feeling any strange symptoms, don't head straight to the hospital. Just call the hotlines. First, 055 2222 004 and 055 2222 005. Now, Enterprise Insurance wants you to keep your motor insurance policy alive or get a new motor insurance policy with Enterprise Insurance, because if you do that now, you get to enjoy some additional benefits in this COVID-19 time. For example, you get a free life insurance cover for COVID-19 cases, you get free cash benefit for COVID-19 hospitalization cases, and 50% waiver on all motor claim deductibles. Now, this offer is for both individual and corporate customers. It's also valid from now until the 16th of July, 2020. 2020. This is their commitment to you. So remember, at Enterprise Insurance, they care. Stay safe and stay alive. Enterprise Insurance, your advantage. Terms and conditions, as always, apply. Okay, here's what's on myjoyonline.com. Judgment in NCA case not supported by evidence, according to Anyine, former Deputy Attorney General. Instruct ECG to stop charging VAT on power. This is from the Chamber of Independent Power Producers to GRA. Now, CNN has these. By the way, that headline was from citynewsroom.com. Okay, this one is from CNN, and wish it would open up quickly so I could share it with you. Internet problems, but as soon as we get that online, we will share it with you. Oh, look, it's coming. Or maybe it's not. All right, we'll deal with that later. But those are a couple of headlines, and let's settle for some stories.
Okay, so our COVID around the world update this morning. Zimbabwe is extending their coronavirus lockdown indefinitely. So in a live broadcast on Saturday, the president said, and I quote, the measure would remain in place for an indefinite period, and added that the country needs to ease out of the lockdown in a strategic and gradual manner. The thing about Zimbabwe is they also have very informal street markets where millions of Zimbabweans make a living, and all of that is shut. What they're doing, though, is extending the opening hours of banks and shops and little businesses so that at least the economy can float. So that's what's happening in Zimbabwe. Brazil has overtaken Spain and Italy when it comes to COVID-19 cases. So the total number of cases in Brazil is 233,142 after authorities logged 14,919 new cases in one day. 15,000 people have died. Despite all of this, the president still calls it a little flu that's hitting the country, but they've actually overtaken Spain and Italy. They're the fourth highest in the world at the moment. Coming back to Ghana, 3 people have died from COVID-19 without any underlying health conditions, and so the narrative really has been that we've lost people here in Ghana because of the comorbidity, but 3 people actually died without any. There's a 9-year-old little boy, a 32-year-old male, and a 20-year-old female, all of them with no underlying conditions. There was a list that came out. The data showed that the people who died, their diseases were listed: hypertension, diabetes, asthma, and liver disease. But these 3 didn't. Now, you also know there's 13 new COVID-19 cases in the northern region, including a 5-year-old child. And so there's a little bit of panic in the region. But they're being asked to calm down. There'll be contact tracing done and all of that. Also, Dr. Bedu Sarkodie, Director of Public Health, Ghana Health Service, has said that there will be no voluntary testing for COVID-19 for now. So you can't just ask to get tested. You have to wait. If you have come in contact with anybody and there's contact tracing and all of that, then you will be tested. But for now, no voluntary testing. So that's pretty much COVID-19 around the world.
Yeah, there is some more from COVID-19 around the world from the online story that wasn't loading. It's loaded now. Right. 100 countries want a probe into the handling of COVID-19 by China. So China facing a bit of heat there from 100 different countries who want to know what on earth went down at the beginning of this thing. Also, the virus is cutting a lifeline for the poor, according to CNN. And 180 people exposed to virus at church service. This is one of the states that opened up and allowed church service, and 180 people got exposed there. And Japan has fallen into recession, sadly. And there you go. Okay, so by the way, you were talking about voluntary testing. There is an article by Kwame Sapong-Asiedu that suggests that maybe what we should start doing is the other type of testing, the antibodies tests. They are quicker, they're cheaper, and you can probably do them in much, much larger numbers. Yeah. And that might be a way towards reopening our, lives. All right. Okay.
All right. So let's get into the details, and starting off with the Chronicle, because it talks about naked robbery in health sector. And according to Chronicle, the announcement by President Akufo-Addo that all frontline health workers in the country would receive an additional allowance of 50% of their basic salary per month for 4 months. That's April, May, June, and March, has reportedly resulted in fraudulent names being submitted to the government as beneficiaries of the scheme. And according to the Chronicle, at the St. Teresa's Hospital at Nkranza in the Bono East region one, for instance. The Chronicle understands the names submitted to the Ministry of Health as frontline workers are fraught with fraud, and some of the names, their sources allege, are not frontline workers and ought not to have been submitted to government to benefit from the 50% pay rise for 4 months. And some concerned workers, nurses of the hospital who are not happy with this fraudulent list have already sent a strong petition to the Chief of Staff at the Presidency, Akosua Frema Osepai, and copied the Catholic Health Association, drawing the attention to the issue and the need to reject the list. So there you have it. Some persons, some of them are administrators, have their names captured in there as frontline workers when, according to the Chronicle, they're not supposed to be frontline workers. They want to enjoy from the 4 months 50% increase in basic salaries.
All right. Okay, to move on.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you wanted to say something to that. Okay, so stigmatization is on the front page of the Daily Graphic, and the Ghana Health Service has been speaking. So the chairman of the National Risk Communication and Social Mobilization for COVID-19, Dr. Dacosta Aboagye, has assured us that his team at the Ghana Health Service are working extra hard to overcome stigma. Now, stigma is showing up in two ways, and he mentions that because of the fear of stigma, people could refuse to call for help when they show the symptoms. That becomes difficult to find them and isolate them for treatment. He also touched on the fact that some communities are protesting the setting up of isolation centers in their areas. And the thing is, if every community protests, then there will be no isolation areas. He's assuring people that if there's an isolation center in your community, it does not put you at any greater risk of getting COVID-19. So he's asking that, we kind of stop stigmatizing people, accept people back into the community when they've recovered from COVID-19. It's a horrible thing to go through, even more horrible when you come home and you're made to feel like an outsider. So that's it. We'll be talking more on stigmatization this morning.
Exactly. But talking about headlines, and so one of the issues we'll be discussing this morning has to do with happenings at our ports, and successful simulation at Tema Port paves way for ICAM's takeoff. And so the story in the final says the Ghana Revenue Authority, in collaboration with Ghana Link Network Services Limited and the Ghana Ports and Harbours, has successfully conducted simulation exercise for the new integrated customs management system, and the exercise, which involved the Meridian Port Services, Ghana Shippers Authority, Shipping Lines, National Security and Food and Drugs Authority, and all stakeholders, was aimed at testing ICAM's ability to aid the free flow of both imports and exports. And talking about ICAMs, we're making reference to UNIPAS, more or less. For many of us, we know it as UNIPAS. So that's the Integrated Customs Management System, which will be taking over from the 1st of June, all things being equal. We'll have more later on the show.
Absolutely. And when Winston brings us all of that information from this whole UNIPAS thing, I want you to understand the reason why we're doing it. It's because this thing affects us all.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do. You are in one way or the other affected by what happens at our ports. We'll draw the direct connection between the government of Ghana's decisions that they have made with these three companies and how your spending in the marketplace, your fixing of your spare parts, all of the things that you do as a matter of course. What government of Ghana is doing with these companies, and how some of these companies are, combating each other and so forth, how it affects you. We'll draw that direct link for you. Make sure you don't miss a moment of it right here on the Super Morning Show. It's coming up after the BBC News and Food for Thought and all the good stuff we bring you every single morning. The BBC News, by the way, comes up in a moment by the kindness of Fidelity Bank, Believe With Us, and Shell Club, Get More. And I'm still getting text messages from people from Akwafu. Akwafu Massive. Thanks for tuning in, all of you. We'll read a few more of your messages later. Right now, though, it's time for us to cross over to our friends at the BBC for the headlines, but not before a couple of messages from our friends, especially our friends at First Atlantic Bank, Goyle, and Bank of Africa. Stay with us.
*442# is the new mobile banking formation in town. It's simple.